this is going to be a trigger fucking warning to you, okay? The babysitter is taking a stand. There was a lot today. I didn't videotape it. I've been watching it, and then my mom called, and I had to take the phone call, and so we're gonna watch behind it. I didn't show all the kids' moms that this woman has babysat for. The defense team is bringing up all of these moms to you know, testify. So this is gonna get really serious and deep. I'm just going to pre-warn you now. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. This is the babysitter out of Florida. Very certified, highly qualified babysitter. So far, there's been 4 or 5 witnesses or testifies for her. Before we start this, I just don't understand how, if you're not on drugs and you live a sane life, how can you forget? I can't get that out of my mind. Like, how can you forget that you picked up that baby? You know? Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
I always like that.
Your Honor, can we approach? No. It was testified into, on the interview, Detective Doherty asked Ms. Jewell about the things that were going on in her life, and that's what I'm trying to follow up on.
Okay, overruled.
Thank you. So can you describe for the jury kind of what's going on in general with your kids and your family situation?
My daughter just graduated high school, so we went through the whole graduation. We were moving her to college in Gainesville, and then we were scheduled to go in August to England for a baton twirling competition with her.
Is that the trip that was referenced when you were speaking with Detective Doherty on the interview earlier?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I think you guys are scheduled to leave for that early August?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would that have been the first time you guys would have been out of the country?
Yes, ma'am.
So kind of a big situation for you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Moving forward to the time frame around July 19th. July 19th was a Wednesday, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's talk about the couple of weeks leading up to that situation and your schedules with the children, okay? Around that time frame, had Stacy Pascal changed your days in any fashion as to when you would keep her twins?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain to the jury what was going on there?
So I had the twins and their daughter usually on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Her husband's schedule had changed his job, and so he would work night shift and he would work day shift, and so he'd be sleeping, and so she would call me ahead of time and say, "Hey, I don't need you to keep the boys. My husband's going to be home sleeping. My oldest daughter's going to keep him occupied until he gets up." So that schedule had changed within that 2-week span.
On the week of July 19th, did you keep, or the week included, not July 19th rather, did you keep the twins or their sister on Monday?
I did not.
And why was that?
She had called me and told me that she didn't need me.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
It is, but I'll allow her for context. Go ahead.
Thank you.
She called and told me that Kelly had off and that she did not need my services that day. So I didn't work.
Did you keep Araya that day on Monday?
I did.
And can you describe for the jury, usually whenever you kept Araya, how you would pick her up or how you would come to have her?
I would pick her up in the mornings between 8 and 8:30, depending on what time I needed to be at the Pascal's house. And I would pick her up and take her to the Pascal's house.
And usually when you would pick her up, how would Araya come to be in your vehicle?
I would pull up at Brooke Page's house, and she would put her in the car and buckle her up and put her diaper bag below the car seat.
And where was the car seat usually located in your vehicle?
On the back passenger side.
So in the back seat?
Yes, ma'am.
Was Araya's car seat forward facing or rear facing at that time?
It was rear facing.
And usually when you would have Araya and then you would go to Stacy's house, what would you do with Araya when you got there to Stacy's house?
I would take her out, get her out in her car, the whole car seat, the diaper bag, take her inside. And then as I approached the inside, I would take her out of her car seat. I would place a blanket on the floor because she was crawling, and I would give her toys from the twins, like soft toys for her to play with, and put her on the floor to play with her and engage with her. And the twins loved her too, so they would get down on the floor and play with her as well as her daughter.
On this particular Monday of the week, including July 19th, you testified a few minutes ago that you did not have the twins on that day. Do you recall picking up Araya on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do with Araya that day?
I picked her up and I met my daughter and we went to Hardee's and ate breakfast. Me and my daughter arrived, still drinking a bottle. So we engaged with her. We was there for an hour, just killing time. An hour, hour and a half, just sitting and chit-chatting because she's got so much going on her life. We just was catching up, me and my daughter.
After you got done with breakfast with your daughter, did you run errands that day?
I did, yes, ma'am.
And then did you end up at a friend of yours' house?
Objection, Judge. Relevance.
I think it goes to show the schedule changes that are going on around that time frame, Your Honor.
Okay, let's move on though. Gotcha.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did Brooke Page pick Araya up from you that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she go to your friend's house to do that?
Yes, ma'am. After I run errands and my errands for the day, I went to my friend's house and Brooke had picked her up from there.
Backtracking to the Wednesday before that.
Yes, ma'am.
That Wednesday, generally, you would have had the twins and Araya, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall if you had the twins on that day?
I did not.
And did you have Araya that day?
Objection again, Your Honor.
I'm gonna
Relevance.
sustain it. You're losing me. Try giving me some numbers for dates
Sure,
instead
yes,
of.
sir, yes, sir. So on the Wednesday before July 19th, which would have been July 12th,
Yes, ma'am.
you said you did not have the twins, correct?
Objection again, Your Honor.
Okay,
Relevance.
I'm gonna sustain that. We're getting a little far afield.
Yes, sir. So going back to the Monday that we've been talking about, the 19th, for the record, that would have been the 17th of July, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Judge. Again, I will object because now we're going back to the 17th rather than the 19th.
Okay, well, we're at the 17th. Let's
Yes,
go.
sir.
Okay.
I was simply trying to provide.
Overruled, overruled.
I was just trying to provide a court date as the judge requested. So let's move forward to the 19th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So on that particular day, were you scheduled to keep both Araya and the twins?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Had you been asked to arrive at the Pascal home earlier than usual?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ever discuss with Brooke Page that arrival change?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she aware that you were coming to pick Araya up early that day?
Yes, ma'am.
In the past, had you sometimes talked with Brooke about the fact that the time changes of when you had to be there at Stacy's home were irritating to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection, Your Honor. Leading in relevance.
It is leading. I'll sustain it on that basis.
Had you had conversations with Brooke in the past that were venting in nature regarding things of the way Stacy did?
Same objection, Judge.
Your Honor, I think it goes directly to the.
Overruled.
Thank you. Had you had those conversations in the past?
Yes, ma'am.
Was this something that you would talk to Brooke about in a friendly capacity?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So on this particular morning, did you go to Araya's house, to Brooke and Justice's house, to pick up Araya?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe for us what happened when you got there?
I had text Brooke or more, talked to my phone to Brooke that I would be there in a few minutes. And so Brooke always brings the baby out, opens the door and puts her in the buckles her up and puts her diaper bag in the floor up underneath the car seat.
And is that what Brooke did on that particular day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you talk to Brooke at that time frame?
I was in the driver's seat and she opened up the door and we were just chit-chatting that way.
Was that a brief conversation with her?
Yes, ma'am.
When you left Brooks, where were you going?
To Stacy Pascal's house.
As you're driving, what are you thinking about, if you remember?
Getting to Stacy's house and being there on time because she had asked me to be there so she could leave by 8:15 before the boys got up.
Was she trying to avoid having to deal with her sons that morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection, Judge. Speculative.
Sustain.
If the boys were awake when Stacy left, would it usually take her longer to get out the door?
Yes, ma'am.
So as you're driving, you told us a little bit about what you were thinking. Did you think about making any stops?
Yes, ma'am. I was going to pull through Burger King and get breakfast for the twins and their oldest sister.
At that point, would you have been looking for breakfast for Araya from the Burger King?
No, ma'am, because she was still drinking a bottle.
Was she also eating baby food of some sort at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but nothing table food.
No, ma'am.
So did you actually stop at the Burger King?
I was stopped at the red light right there at the crossing and noticed that there was a long line at Burger King, and I knew that I would not be able to get through the line and be at work on time.
So what did you do?
So I just bypassed Burger King and went to Stacy's house.
Okay. And where is Stacy's house located?
I call it McClenny 2. I don't know the address.
Okay. So basically, you enter into McClenny to near where just past the Burger King, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What happened when you got to Stacy's?
I got there and I grabbed my water bottle, my cup, and I had my lunch in the little tray right there where the cup holder is, and I grabbed it. My phone was right there as well, and I grabbed it, got out of the car to get to the inside before 8:15 so she could leave. She didn't want to leave while the kids were, she didn't want them up. She wanted them asleep so she could get out and she wouldn't be late. And that's what I was thinking is get there on time before they got up.
When you got out of the car, Rhonda, did you get Araya out of the car?
No, ma'am, I
This is
forgot.
where it gets crazy.
I forgot I had her.
When you went inside, did you talk to Stacy?
For a brief minute.
Do you remember what you guys talked about?
Just, one of the boys had failed the night before, and she was worried that it had bruised, and she wanted me to take a picture and send it to her. And we had talked about my doctor's appointment the next day, and was it?
As you're talking about the doctor's appointment the next day, are you talking with Stacy about the fact that you can't work the next day?
Yes, ma'am.
Leaving, Your Honor, objection.
Sustained.
Had you had a conversation with Stacy about your unavailability on Thursday?
Yes, ma'am.
And why were you not going to be available?
Because I have,
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
How is that relevant?
Your Honor, it goes to the schedule changes and the things that Ms. Jewell is dealing with in the moment of what's going on.
Okay, I'll overrule the objection.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Had you, I think the last question was, why was your schedule changing?
On Thursday, I was supposed to work for Stacy, but I had told her that I needed to go to the chiropractor, which I normally went to in McClenny. They didn't have any availability, so I called the one in Jacksonville and Oakleaf, and their first availability was at 10. So I told her I could come afterwards if she needed me to, and she said no, that it was okay. Her mother was coming to take care of the kids.
Were you physically in pain at that point?
I hurt, yes, ma'am, but I mean, it wasn't nothing that,
Did that pain interfere with your ability to take care of the children?
oh no, ma'am, I just needed to be, I call it manipulate my hip and shoulder was bothering me.
And just to be clear, you didn't usually keep Araya on Thursday.
No, ma'am.
Okay. After you were scheduled to be off of work on Thursday, had you worked, did you have any other plans?
We were supposed to leave on vacation that Thursday afternoon.
So
So this
backing
lady
up
was worried about
to
going
the
on
September,
vacation.
July 19th date,
I just
you
can't.
have gone to Stacy's house. You've walked inside and had this conversation with her. How long would you say you talked to Stacy before she left?
Give or take 2, 3, 4 minutes.
And did Stacy actually leave to go to work?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do then?
I had texted Brooke and told Brooke that Stacy had just left to go to work.
And the text message I believe
That should have
said,
dawned
just
on you
left.
that you have
shocker,
a
just left,
child, her
shocker.
child.
What did you mean by that?
Because Stacy would ask me to come to work, sometimes be there at 8:15. She wouldn't leave till 8:30. She would say she was on her way home, or I'll be home at 4, 4:30. She wouldn't be there till 5. So that was a little, that's what that was about.
And you and Brooke had discussed those particular issues in the past.
Yes, ma'am.
So you texted Brooke that Stacy had left, and at that point, were the boys up, the twins?
They weren't up. They were up, I would say, within 2 to 3 minutes of me being there.
Okay, so within 2 to 3 minutes of you getting there and getting settled, the boys got up?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you guys do then?
One of them got up and noticed that I was there, and of course, rah-rah, and he said, "Will you rub my back?" So I sat on the couch and I rubbed his back, and then a few minutes later, the other one got up, and I was sitting on the couch and I would rub their backs and just engaging with them, and they were very loving children, so they wanted to engage.
Shortly after that, would you have prepared them breakfast that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you actually give them breakfast that day?
Yes, ma'am.
As the day goes along, what are you guys doing?
They have a little magnetic kind of toy that you can put together, it's like a puzzle type thing, but it's magnetic. We'd sit on the floor and play with, do a puzzle on the table, go to the toy room and play.
Were there ever times that you were on your phone with the children?
Yes, ma'am. We would watch TikTok together, just funny kids TikToks, stuff like that.
Fast forward to around 1 o'clock, 1:15. Do you recall Brooke arriving at the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell us what you were doing before you became aware that Miss Brooke Page was at the house? Immediately before.
I was preparing lunch for the kids
Where would you have been doing that?
in the kitchen.
And as you were preparing lunch for the children, where are they?
They're in the kitchen with me as well.
And what are you guys doing as you're cooking lunch?
We were singing, and then one wanted a hot dog, and one wanted French fries, and one wanted, strawberries, and one wanted grapes, and one wanted a juice. And so they were very hands-on, but different and rambunctious. So I was preparing all of their meals. So I had French fries on the stove, frying, and I had a hot dog in the microwave, and, trying to get all of that juice made for them. And
Was all of that going on whenever you received the phone call from Brooke?
yes, ma'am.
Prior to receiving the phone call from Brooke Page, had you heard anyone knocking on the door?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Did you hear the doorbell at all?
Ma'am?
Trigger
Did you hear the
warning.
doorbell at all?
No, ma'am.
Whenever Brooke Page called you, can you describe for us what happened?
She said, "Hey," and I said, "Hey," and she said, where, she said, I'm here. And I said, here? I said, where you at? And she said, I'm at the door. And I said, oh. And
Did you go to the door at that time?
I did, but I didn't know why she was there. So I was like, what are you doing? And she said, I'm here. And so I asked her where she was at. She said, I'm at the door.
Did you go to the front door?
I did.
What happened when you opened the front door?
I opened up the door and I seen her, and I was still in shock while she was there. And so she had money in her hand and her keys. And that's when I realized I didn't get the baby in the car. I forgot the I forgot the baby in the car. And so I pushed her out the way, and I was screaming, "Oh my God, Brooke! Oh my God! Oh my God, Brooke!" And I could hear her saying, "What?" And I ran to the car, and I opened up the door, and she was still there. Ray was still in the back seat.
What happened after you opened the door, Rhonda?
I opened up the back door and she was like, I accidentally left her in the car. I was like, oh my God, bro, and she said, call 911. It's all right. I ran back.
Did you come back out to the
At least I
car?
hit the right button this time.
Was Brooke on the phone at that time?
I don't think she was, yes, ma'am.
What did you do at that point?
I got the baby out of the car. In the car seat.
What did you do with Araya after you got her out of the car seat?
I held her. And I prayed God was turning me against the stairs. I begged God to give her breath and to save me instead of her.
At some point, okay. At some point, did you take Araya inside the garage?
And I did.
What did you do at that point?
Brooke came in. And I think she was on the phone with Miss Pager. I don't know who she was on the phone with. But she had told me to go to the road and wait for 911 to get there so they know where to go.
And did you do that?
I did.
I'm assuming that the EMTs and firefighters, they came.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened after they arrived?
I remember coming out of the garage, and I went to the front porch, and Brooke went somewhere. I don't remember where she went, but I just know we weren't together.
I'm sorry, you weren't.
We weren't together.
Did you go back inside Stacy's home at that point?
I remember that they were supposed to be eating lunch, and I went to go check and see if the stove was still on. I couldn't remember if I turned it off or what. And I just asked Maddie, the oldest daughter, I said, please keep him in here. Please keep him in here. Don't let him come outside.
And after you did that, did you go back outside?
I did.
Did you have to call Stacy Pascal?
I did.
And why did you call her?
Because the ambulance is always there, and I didn't want somebody to call and ask her what was going on. So I asked Stacey, I said, I need you to come home. And she said, what's going on? I said, I just need you to come home. I said, it's not your children. And she said, what's going on? And I said, I forgot the baby was in the car. And I forgot I had her. And
Do you remember Stacy coming home?
I vaguely, yes, ma'am.
When Stacy got there, did she speak with you?
She said, what's going on? And I said, Stacy, oh my God, I just didn't let the baby in the car.
Did you get physically ill at that time, Rhonda?
Yes, ma'am.
And what actually happened?
I remember going to the car, getting the baby out of the car seat, or opening up the door, and I had peed all over myself going to the car, and then I threw up.
Did you throw up after Stacy got there and you were having the conversation with her?
Yes, ma'am.
At that point when Stacy came, do you know where Brooke was, where Brooke Page was?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever have an opportunity to speak with Brooke after the EMTs arrived?
I did not.
At some point, the sheriff's office deputies asked you to go to the sheriff's office, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And they actually took you there, I guess is the better way to put that. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You've seen your statement that was played today. Was that the entire statement that you gave them?
Yes, ma'am.
Going back to this day, on September 19th of last year, Did you get Araya out of the car when you got to Stacy's?
I'm sorry, say that
When you
again.
arrived at Stacy's that morning, did you get her out of the car?
No, ma'am, I forgot I had her.
Did you realize that Araya was there and think that she was sleeping and it left her there and intended to come back and get her?
No, ma'am, I totally forgot I had her.
Thank you, Ms. Jewell. I don't have any other questions.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Oh God, here we go. Here comes the state. They're gonna drill her. They are going to rock her world. This is gonna be a rough one, y'all. I don't know.
Ms. Jewell, isn't it true that Brooke and Justice paid you to be a babysitter or a nanny for Araya?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Yes, sir.
That was your decision to be a babysitter for Araya. That was your choice.
Oh God.
Yes, sir.
You had an agreement with them to watch Araya,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, sir.
You had an agreement to care for Araya. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You had an agreement to make sure, when Araya was with you, to make sure that she was safe. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes, sir.
You were her caregiver on the days that you watched her, correct?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it
God,
also true that
tell
Brooke
them
and
that.
Justice paid you money because you were the babysitter on the days that you would watch her?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that on the days that you had Araya, that you were watching and caring for Araya, that you were supposed to feed her?
Yes, sir.
You were supposed to make her baby bottle.
Yes, sir.
You were supposed to mix her baby food together to feed her the formula.
Yes, sir.
Change her diaper when necessary.
Yes, sir.
If she needed baby lotion or baby wipe, you were responsible for that.
Yes, sir.
That was your decision that you told Brooke and Justice that you would do.
Yes, sir.
If she needed a blanket, you'd give her a blanket.
Yes, sir.
A change of clothes, you would take care of her and change her clothes, correct?
Yes, sir.
If she needed a pacifier, you'd give her a pacifier.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
These are things that you agreed to do when you would be caring for Araya.
Yes, sir.
Let me take you to July 19th of 2023. On that day, you went to Brooke and Justice's house, correct?
Yes, sir.
You got up that morning from your house and you drove to Brooke and Justice's house, correct?
Yes, sir.
That was your job.
Yes, sir.
And you didn't forget to do that, correct?
Right.
As I mentioned earlier, you were being paid to do this because it was your job.
Yes, sir.
So you drive your vehicle to Brooke and Justice's house. You did not forget how to get to her house, correct?
Right.
You then pull into the driveway, correct?
Right.
When you went to Brooke and Justice's house, isn't it true that you had your cell phone with you?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. It was
his
a couple
tone
of-
is a little harsh.
When you got to Brooke and Justice's house, didn't Brooke have Araya in the baby car seat?
Yes, sir.
And isn't it true that Brooke put Araya inside of your vehicle?
Yes, sir.
You were there, you were present, and you saw her put the baby in your vehicle.
Yes, sir.
You didn't forget that. You remember that.
Yes, sir.
You saw Brooke put the baby bag with all of the items inside of it inside of your vehicle.
Yes, sir.
You didn't forget that, correct?
Correct.
You then drove off in your vehicle with Araya in the vehicle with you, correct?
Yes, sir.
There was no one else in the vehicle but you and Araya.
Yes, sir.
You go to Burger King. How far would you say it is from Burger King to Brooke's house?
I didn't go through Burger King. I stopped at the red light.
The red light. How far approximately is it?
I'm not really sure. Not good with distance, so I don't know.
3-4 minutes?
Yes, yes, sir.
Did you forget about Araya in 3 or 4 minutes? You just picked her up.
Yes, sir. I did pick her up. Yes, sir. I
When
agree.
you got to the intersection of where Burger King is, did you forget that quickly that you had just picked up a baby?
It was not that quickly. I went from,
So you remembered she was in the car at that moment.
no, sir, I didn't. I picked her up.
Is it your testimony today, Ms. Jewell?
Judge, let the witness answer the question, please.
Sustain.
Go ahead and answer, Ms. Jewell.
I picked her up from Brooke and Justice's house at approximately 8 o'clock. And I went through McClaney, through the red lights. And I stopped at the red light at Burger King. And in my mind, I was picking up breakfast for all the kids. And I noticed that the line was long. And I would not make it to the Pascal's house by 8:15. So I just went ahead and went to the Pascal's house because I needed to be inside so she could leave by 8:15.
Okay, so let me back up a little bit. Let's go back to the red light, where the Burger King is. That's just a few minutes from Brooke and Justice's house, correct?
I would say 10 minutes.
My question to you is this. When you got to that red light where the Burger King is,
Yes.
at that moment, did you forget Araya was in the car?
I did.
You did. So you had gotten up that morning with the job of driving to Brooke's house to get Araya. And your testimony today is after picking up the baby, in approximately 10 minutes, you forgot you had picked up the baby.
I forgot I had her. Yes, sir.
And that was your job, to get her. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And as you testified today, you've been doing this for years. Correct?
Yes, sir.
I knew he was gonna hammer
So you
her,
leave the Burger
guys.
King, you go to Stacy's house, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're testifying today that you forgot Araya was in the car by the time you got to the intersection of where Burger King is and also at Stacy's house, correct?
Yes, sir.
So it would be fair to say that at that moment you have failed in your duties as a caregiver, correct?
I did not hear her. She didn't make a sound, so I didn't know I forgot she was in the car. I didn't hear her.
Ms. Yule, that isn't my question.
Okay,
My
I'm
question
sorry.
is, would you agree, isn't it true? You're saying you forgot she was in the car. You failed as a nanny, as a babysitter, as a caregiver. You're saying you forgot about the baby.
Yes, sir.
So you failed in your duties, correct?
Yes, sir.
You get to Stacy's house and you get out of the car, correct?
Yes, sir.
You had your cell phone in your hand, a bag of chips,
Mind
a
you,
can of
should be
chicken,
yourself,
and I think your
guys.
water
I
bottle or a
mean,
cup of water,
this
whatever it
poor-
was,
I mean,
correct?
I feel-
You didn't forget
oh
to
my
take those
God.
things out of the car, correct?
Correct. It was sitting in front of me. Yes, sir.
You could have put Araya's blanket in front of you if you wanted to, but you didn't do that. That was your choice, correct?
No, sir. I didn't put her blanket in the car.
Was the blanket in the car?
It was, oh, yes, sir. It was on, I guess it was in her bag or,
But you could have put it in the front. You could have put the whole baby bag in the front seat if you wanted to, but you didn't, correct?
I did not.
So your testimony today is you got up in the morning, you drove to Brooke's house and Justice's house, picked up the baby, and in approximately 15 minutes, you just forgot the baby was in the car, even though that was your job, correct?
Yes, sir. I forgot.
How many times are you gonna ask her? She said she forgot. She admitted.
When you went into Stacy's house, you have to agree, isn't it true, you never got Araya out of the car.
No, sir. I did not.
You didn't get the baby bag out of the car either.
No, sir.
You get to Stacy's house, and at 8:17, you've seen the text. You send a text to... At 8:17, the text from you to Brooke is just left. Shocker, with a emoji, a happy face emoji. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
So you sent Brooke a text at 8:17. Miss Jewel, you're saying that you forgot Araya's in the car. But at 8:17, you're texting her mom.
Yep, that's what I got
There's
me
no
at.
reason for you to even be texting Brooke unless you have her child. You're texting her at 8:17 in the morning, letting her know Stacy's left.
This was normal for us to text every day.
Oh
You're
my
texting
gosh,
Araya's
ladies,
mom
just
at
kill yourself.
8:17.
Yes, sir.
You'd have to agree there's no
I'm
reason
sorry,
to text
that
her.
jury's gonna
The
feel
only
a
reason
little
to
bit
Your Honor,
empathy
asked and
for
answered.
her.
Overruled, cross-exam.
The only reason to text her is to let her know Stacy has left the house and you have Araya. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir. But it stems from a conversation we had the day before about how Miss Pascal would come and, she would come and then she would leave when I got there. She would leave late. She would come late. She would leave late. That's what that was about.
Miss Jewel, you are having contact with Araya's mom at 8:17. Araya's still in the car. And you're saying today that never rang a bell?
No, sir, it
That,
did
oh,
not.
the baby's in the car?
No, sir, it did
Even though
not.
you're communicating with the baby's mom?
No, sir, because that was normal for us to talk every day.
Okay. So let's go to 8:32. 8:32, you have another text communication with Brooke, Araya's mom. Once again, you're having communication with Araya's mom. And you're saying today that still, at that moment, even though you're talking to the baby's mom, it never dawned on you, oh, geez, the baby's still in the car.
No, sir, I did not. I forgot that I had her. I forgot she was with me.
Let's go to 11:25.
Yes, sir.
At 11:25, you have a communication with Nevaeh Carter. This is Araya's aunt,
Yes.
the 18-year-old girl that took the stand yesterday.
Wow.
And you respond
I
in some
missed that one.
Snapchat, responding to some picture she posted where you say, I think it was, hey cuties, Rhonda loves you.
Yes, sir.
Once again, you're having communication with Araya, the baby, with her aunt, Nevaeh.
Yes.
And you're testifying today that now for the third time, you're having communication with someone related to Araya, and it never dawned on you that Araya is in the car.
No, sir, it never did.
Oh God, woman, do you have any medical issues that can back up to why you forgot with all of your credible
On July 19th, 2023, you
certifications
left
that
Araya
she
in the car
has, you
for over 5
guys?
hours, correct?
She has a lot
Yes,
of
sir.
certifications.
You never,
a
ever
lot,
fed
a
her
lot.
on
Let me
that.
pause this. She has a lot. I don't want to get, this is law and crime. I think they're the ones that strike, don't they? But help me think this through, y'all. I'm sitting here doing my nails too, by the way. So, how could you possibly in this world be this highly certified person? You text the mother and it still don't dawn on you? Like, I don't get it. Let me finish this so we can get done.
Day, correct?
Yes, sir.
You never made a bottle for her, correct?
Correct.
Never changed her diaper, correct? Never changed her clothes, correct?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that you never used baby wipes or baby lotion or anything like that for her at all? Would that be accurate?
Yes, sir.
You never did anything that would be necessary for a babysitter or a caregiver to make sure that a 10-month-old baby would be safe. Isn't that accurate?
Yes, sir.
So you failed in your duty of care towards Araya, this 10-month-old child, correct?
Yes, sir.
You admit that.
Because I forgot I had her. Yes, sir.
But you failed in your duty.
Yes, sir.
She admitted she failed.
You had mentioned, I think a little while earlier, that Araya at that age could crawl a little bit. I think you'd have to admit Araya was incapable of unbuckling herself from the car seat or opening a car door at that age. Would that be accurate?
Yes, sir.
And she forgot.
On July 19th, Miss Jewell, when this occurred, isn't it true that you never answered the door when Brooke knocked on it, the front door?
Yes, sir.
You never answered the door when she rang the doorbell, correct?
Correct.
Isn't it also true that Brooke would normally, as she testified, she'd come to the front door to pick up Araya?
Yes, sir.
And when she finally called you, you said, "What door are you at?" Correct?
Yes, sir.
On that day, Miss Jewell, were you drinking?
No, sir.
Were you on any kind of drugs or
I knew that
narcotics?
was going to
No,
come
sir.
up.
You mentioned you had like a shoulder pain or something. You weren't taking anything for that.
If I took anything, it was Tylenol or ibuprofen.
You mentioned to Investigator Dougherty when you were being interviewed about your child going to college, about going to England. You were focused on that day.
Yeah.
I had a lot of things going on.
But your responsibility was to care for Araya. You didn't do that. Isn't it true?
Yes, sir.
And that was your decision to watch her. You agreed to do that.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, y'all. This is going to be a tough case for... Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking all totally wrong. And... I don't know, guys. I just feel like...
Miss Jewell, on
this
July
lady was
19th,
too worried
you remember
about
getting up.
going.
You remember picking up Araya. You remember trying to go to Burger King, and you remember going to Stacy's house. You remember making text messages twice to Brooke. You remember a Snapchat response to Nevaeh. You remember all that, but you don't remember Araya,
Yes, sir.
even though that was your job.
Yes, sir. It was my job.
Would you agree that on July 19th, for those 5 hours, it was your responsibility to care for Araya?
Well, obviously
yes?
she forgot.
Yes, sir.
And you would agree that under your watch, Araya died?
You keep badgering her like she's
Is that
going to
true?
be able to...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
At one moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
And him throwing shit around is not going to help his case.
Miss Jewell, when you would care for Araya, you'd have to change her diaper.
Yes, sir.
But on that day, you didn't.
No, sir.
Judge, these have been asked 3 or 4 times already of the witness.
Sustained.
Isn't it true on that day of July 19th, you helped take the dog out or take the dog back in because the dog was outside and it was hot outside?
No, sir. I wasn't in charge of the dog. That was Maddie's dog.
You remember Maddie bringing the dog in?
No, sir, I do not. That was a communication with her and her mom.
How do you not pay attention to a dog?
You mentioned not hearing Araya when she was in the vehicle.
Yes, sir.
But it is your fault that Araya is dead
What?
because you left her in the car.
Wow.
I forgot she was in the car. Yes, sir.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Redirect.
I kind of have empathy for
Ms.
this
Jewell, I have just
lady,
a couple
but
more
it's
questions for you,
hard.
okay? The state pointed out that it was your job to take care of Araya. Was it also your job to take care of Stacy Pascal's twins and her daughter on that day as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you perform that job?
Yes, ma'am.
I think the state tried to pinpoint or get you to pinpoint at what point in the car you forgot Araya. Do you know between Brooke and Justice's house and Stacy's house at what point you forgot she was there?
No, ma'am.
Did
I
Araya make
just-
any noise or anything to remind you that she was there?
No, ma'am.
And when you picked Araya up from Brooke and Justice Page's house on the morning of July 19th, who put her in the car?
Brooke did.
And who usually put her in the car?
Brooke.
And who put her baby bag in the car?
Brooke.
Who usually did that?
Brooke.
And where were both of those items located?
In the passenger side of the back seat.
Ms. Jewell, did you intentionally leave Araya Page in your car?
No, ma'am.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Any other questions of this witness at this point?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Jewell, you can step down if you will, please, ma'am, and return to council table. We're going to take about a 15-minute recess. Please be back in your seats, ready to go at about 20 minutes till the hour. So we are in recess.
All right. Recess 15 minutes.
I don't like this topic.
Your Honor, the blue man's still on.
He's like, I don't give a fuck. Alright, y'all, I had to show you guys that. I think they're at recess. I don't want to, get in trouble for airing this. I don't know if it's televised, I do believe. But it's law and crime, and law and crime can be a dick sometimes, so I don't want to use too much of law and crimes. But at least you guys know what case we are working on and following. Also, the trial of the burned wife. That's another big, horrible, sad case that is very sad. That was a domestic dispute case as well, domestic violence case. Yeah, very horrible case. I couldn't believe it. It's just, in this case, is very tragic, and I don't know. I mean, you think they could have did a lesser charge because, different charges other than what they're charging her with, because, I mean, it was a complete accident. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm so torn about this case, y'all. I don't even want to say what I feel because I don't want to be butchered because, this mom did lose her child. And this is a very, very, very young couple. Very young couple. So it is, very sad to see this happen, and this happened in Florida. Now the case with the domestic violence is the woman's name was, I do believe, is Terry. Gary killed Terry. He set her on fire is what he's being convicted of. It's crazy because I have an aunt, Terry, who's in heaven. Her husband's name was Gary, and he loved that woman to death, and so it was kind of hard to watch that trial. My Uncle Gary was a very loving uncle. But Gary, I don't know what the motive is. I guess Gary's probably the one that had all the money. But he ended up setting his wife on fire and then tried to make it look like it was an accident. Now, mind you, this woman has lit this furnace for over 20 something years. Her daughter said she's not going to use gasoline to light an indoor home furnace. She's lit this furnace for years, 20 something years. And the daughter had witnessed domestic violence between Gary had smacked her in the face, shoved or put her face. He wasn't a very nice man to his wife. He was not a very nice man at all. He slammed the door in her face. Decided that was something, I don't know, that's another rough case. And I'm not sure if that one's out of Florida as well. It might be Georgia. There's a lot of ones. There's a lot in Ohio. There's a couple going on in Ohio. I know I posted the one about the one took a plea deal. Why the state even offered a plea deal for this 14-year-old. But as you all know, she got the plea deal. She's gonna spend 3 years in asylum. She's gonna get out. That one's out of, I think, might be out of Florida too. 14-year-old killed her grandmother. They are foreign from another country. They did come over, I do believe, from Russia, I want to say. So it was lucky. She killed her grandmother. Her grandmother was 79 years old, and the grandmother and the father was raising her. The mother wasn't able to come over to the estates. So the daughter had struggled very, very much with that. And therefore, you know, not able to come over. I don't know why. But I'm already at 45 minutes with this screen recording, and it takes a while for it to process and get on there. I keep saying I'm going to post them to Facebook, and then I never do. So I am going to try to post these to Facebook. Kind of working on my nails right now, and I'm trying to get a top coat on them. This top coat that I'm using is not a very good top coat. I think it is dried out, which means I probably should just go ahead and pitch it. Let's see. Top coat. We're going to go ahead and use the Maron one. Now, I don't know if that was the state's last. Now, the state has rested in this case, so it is more up to the state here. Give me just 1 second, y'all. Trying to paint the bottom. Yeah, this case totally is so unbelievable that I mean, she had text messages with that mom that day about the other mom not leaving right away and taking forever. And yeah, so I cannot believe that that lady forgot that baby in the car. It's like, how the frick do you forget a baby? I do not understand that, and maybe, maybe this lady should have never took the job. I think she had way too much going on, and I think she should have not have taken on babysitting. Now I think the defense is gonna rest this case too. Our defense is gonna rest. Now the defense did call a lot of babysitters in. Not babysitters. I'm sorry. Let me stand corrected. My ding dong, but too much with fumes. The defense brought in a lot of the children's moms, okay? The ones that she ever babysat. This babysitter, all the kids that she's ever babysat, apparently it looks like were brought in. Looks like now her whole time I've watched this woman in court, she has bawled her eyes out. I can honestly say she's been crying this whole time. Is it a show? I think she's showing great remorse. As she should, you know. So I guess it's just gonna be a jury. I'm so glad I wouldn't have to be a juror because that would be a hard decision. I don't know if I could convict her of manslaughter. Like me, isn't there another charge? Like, is she gonna serve life in prison? Or does she have a chance of parole? Or is she going to prison for the rest of her life? And she was very careless. Very careless, you guys. Aggravated manslaughter. Life, if convicted, life behind bars. She should have took a plea deal. Maybe the Florida didn't offer her a plea deal. If she would have got a plea deal, she should have took it because people are gonna be so mad. If she don't get convicted. Now, the state has not. The state has already rested. So now we wait and see what the defense is gonna do. Is the defense gonna rest as well? Are they going to, what's the defense team gonna do? I can keep you guys posted. But I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they're gonna. So, looks like they are at the thing talking. So, let's just hope that, for her careless actions, she was supposed to take care of that baby and has failed that
Be seated,
mother.
please.
And this couple's a
Members of the
young
jury,
couple.
it's a strange world because we're going to try to wrap this case up tomorrow. We've got a lot to do tomorrow. But rather than have you come in earlier tomorrow, you're coming in later tomorrow. Okay? Trust me,
Yay.
we're going to get through this. What you'll need to do is to return to this courtroom for 9:30 in the morning rather than 8:30. It's 1 hour difference because we have some matters that need to be taken care of outside your presence. So we'll be able to do that. So when you get here, we should be able to hit the ground running at that point. Again, the instructions, the short version, don't talk about the case with anyone or allow anyone to talk to you about the case in your presence. Don't talk to the attorneys, the defendant, or the witnesses that you see about anything. Don't investigate or conduct any research pertaining to the case. The defendant, the witnesses, or the attorneys. Don't read or listen to or watch any media account pertaining to this case. And don't visit any place described in the evidence. And when you return in the morning, make sure your cell phone is off. And with that, are there any additional instructions desired by any counsel?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor. Very well. With those instructions in mind, we are in recess for the jury until 9:30 tomorrow morning. Thank you, folks. We are in recess.
All right.
Wow. That judge, man.
Be seated.
We are in recess. You can go home. I know.
Did he just say he's like, go home and drink? That's what he signaled to me. I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't understand it, y'all. But I hope you all have a rest of your wonderful evening. I'm gonna go get ready to cook dinner. I don't know. I'm gonna have to reflect on some of the cases that I do now. I was trying to explain to my mom what I've been doing, and she says it's, not very good, but somebody has to be a voice for these victims. And what this woman has done, has destroyed this beautiful young couple. Their children. This young couple lost their only child. Their only child. So, hug your loved ones. Be careful who you have watch your children. Even family close friends can fuck up, apparently. I don't know, this lady was close to a lot of these kids. And alright, y'all. I gotta go. Bye.